Today's episode is brought to you by Taft Law and its Franchise Advance Program, a one-of-a-kind program developed by your host, Josh Brown, to help entrepreneurs assess, convert, and grow your business the right way through sound franchise structures. To learn more, go to taftlaw.com and type Franchise Advance Program in the search bar.
If you think like, act like, or are trying to grow like a franchise, then the Franchise Euphoria podcast is for you. Hello and welcome everybody. Josh Brown here, and I created this podcast for one main goal: to help people who are trying to grow their business through franchising or franchise-like structures to do it the right way. I've been practicing law now as a franchise lawyer for many, many years, and I've seen it done the right way and the wrong way. And this podcast is not filled with a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. Rather, I talk with real people, people who have been there, have done it, are doing it right now. And I also dive deep into specific topics related to franchising. So if this is of interest to you, you are at the right place. Enjoy. Thrilled to have on Brian Kelley, who is the CEO of Phenix Salon Suites. Phenix Salon ranked as the #1 salon suites brand on Entrepreneur's Franchise 500 list, which came following a record year of development with more than 70 agreements signed. This laid the foundation for the brand heading into 2023 with 60 locations already in development. Hey, Brian, you're not busy at all.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate the time. Yeah, no, it's been an exciting, first we had COVID and then you have post-COVID and now it's post-COVID. And, fortunately, we know other brands and other businesses struggled during COVID and our hearts are out there for them. We're, in one way or another, we're a beneficiary of it. During the COVID issue, we saw over a 600% increase in salon professionals coming to our website looking for a suite to rent. So it's just we're set up for success in that scenario because people are really looking for the safety and security of individualized suites. So it's been a fun run, and it's getting more interesting. We're now going international. We opened our very first international location October of 21. And it's full with a wait list. And now that group just signed their second lease location, and they got number 3, 4, and 5 right behind it.
Well, it's kind of a cool story. The Phenix Salon Suites is a cool story, so we'll get to that in a second. But talk to us about you. How did you get in? You're not I don't believe you're the founder, right?
I am not the founder, no. And in fact, ironically enough, 5 years ago, I was attending, my background's restaurants. So over the course of 20 plus years, I've been in multiple franchise systems as an owner operator. I think at our peak, we had about 130 locations ranging from white tablecloth all the way to fast food. And all over the country. But I started going to these finance conferences, seeing private equity groups coming in looking to take 100 unit operators to 200 units, and really got fatigued with the challenges on the labor front, even pre-COVID, where I found myself constantly recruiting, hiring, training, and then getting into, disputes or whatever. And it was just a constant revolving door. As you know, it's no secret in the restaurant space that turnover is pretty high. And so that got me thinking about what else is out there. And so I had two goals. I wanted a business that wasn't overly dependent on employees, and then I also wanted something that had scale, that was fragmented. Didn't have it wasn't dominated by 3 or 4. For example, burger chains that might be out there. And I got introduced to Phenix, and it was a very exciting opportunity really to look at an industry where, when you think about it, there's 300,000 plus hair, nail, esthetician, acupuncture, chiropractor, tattoo removal, med spa. The list goes on. Anything in health, wellness, and beauty. There's that. There's so many different businesses that are out there, and there's not that many salon suites. And when I got started, I think there were 1,200. I'll call them branded salon suites with us and the few others that have like a franchise model built around this. And then maybe, that same number that are independents. Well, those numbers start to add up, and you look at that the sky's the limit. So, and then when you take the step back and realize that outside of Canada, there's just the idea of a salon suite model doesn't really exist. And so the world is your oyster. And I just got very excited about the potential upside for the industry and for the Phenix brand.
Well, that's a great segue into, for those who don't know, explain the model here. I mean, a little bit. It is essentially, and I'll do my summary and then you add to it. Essentially, you come in as a franchisee and then you enter into a lease of space that you have configured as individual salons that are then rented out to effectively hairstylists who come in and either, I think, pay weekly or monthly. And the whole entire model is built upon filling that space and making sure that you manage it and run it under the Phenix brand.
Yeah, essentially that's the case. I'll frame it a slightly different way. We take it could be up to 10,000 plus square feet, but typically 5,000 to 7,000 square feet of space in a shopping center. Although the beauty is the model can go almost anywhere in malls and strip centers and, we call them lifestyle centers, maybe anchored by a grocer or by a Target or something like that. But it also can be freestanding. It can go first floor, second floor. It can go, we call inside the elbow, which is it's an inferior space inside conventional shopping centers. We have that flexibility because we are a destination. So we take this 5,000 to 7,000 square feet, and we basically through our now we're pushing 350 locations. Through our design and our model, we cut that space up to anywhere from 30 to 35 individual suites. That are basically the size of a bedroom. There's different sizes within. There's a kind of a standard size, a premium, and then there's double size suites because you just have different people that have different interests from the industry. And what we're doing then is we're bringing people that are in the health, wellness, and beauty industry that are, again, fragmented. They're all over the place. Some work in hair salons, some work in med spas, some work on their own. They have their own location. Some might work in a gym. And we bring them all under one roof. And what they do is essentially pay us, they sign a month-to-month lease or license agreement, I should say, and they pay us weekly. And so it's, for very, very low dollar down, the salon professional, we call them lifestyle professionals, they can start their business tomorrow. It's very exciting because, I think conventionally, you would be required to open a 1,500, 1,200 square foot facility. It might cost you $50,000 as a salon professional. And it was just a huge barrier to entry. Well, now we can set it up so that you can rent one of our suites. You get control of the four walls. You can decorate it as you see fit. You pay a non-refundable deposit of like $250 to $300 a down payment. And then literally you come in and you decorate it as you see fit. We provide you, the salon professional, with essentially, some bare essentials on furniture, like a wash bowl, a cabinet, a styling chair, and then we get out of the way. And they run their business day to day. So they transact directly with their clients. We're not in the middle of that. They market their own business. They set their own hours. We just essentially make the space available, typically 24/7. And
is there a front desk component?
We're sort of like a sub landlord. And the interesting thing to note is that 98% of our franchisees have no salon experience. We call it a semi-absentee model because you're spending more than 30 minutes inside your salon a week. That's probably too much time. From an employment standpoint, you have one part-time employee that serves as a site coordinator or a site manager. And they are the ones that interact directly with the salon professionals or lifestyle professionals inside your location.
Yeah, let's pause there for 1 second. Let's talk about that. Okay, so because I think that's a good point. I mean, it's super important. I mean, when you you guys set this up in a branded way for Phenix. I think you have some sort of is there a front desk kind of component to it when you walk in?
Yeah. The interesting thing is we used to have we had a desk up front, and we've actually moved away from that because we really didn't need it. Again, these people they're running their own business. We have a directory where a client can come in and they get buzzed in. Sometimes the door's locked, sometimes it's open. They come into the lobby, which is a very small lobby space, doesn't need to be big. They look at the directory, they find the location of their salon professional or lifestyle professional, and then they navigate themselves to that location. There's no real hand holding needed. All of the scheduling, the billing, and all that stuff is handled individually by the salon professional. So you as the franchisee, what you're really responsible for is you have to find a location. We help you with that. We have a sophisticated software program that helps identify, the best locations. Then you're in that process. You're involved with the construction process, which we actually have biweekly conference calls with the franchisee to walk them through each element of the phase. We have a fairly robust project management tool that we take them from step A to step B all the way to step Z, from signing your lease all the way to opening your salon and beyond. But ultimately, the salon professional or lifestyle professional, they are they're in charge of their own business. So you as the franchisee are not engaged in that element. So it really, and that's why it sort of caters to people that are looking to invest in a system or a concept or business where they don't have to be involved day to day. Where they do spend their time is making sure the location is supported from maintenance standpoint. You want to make sure the air conditioning's working, the plumbing's working, and that the facility is clean. You hire a staff or you hire a cleaning agent company to come out and actually clean for you. I don't want to, when I say clean, it's the common areas, so the hallways, the lobby, the bathrooms.
Because the stylists clean their own. Do the stylists clean their own areas? Yeah.
They take care of their own suites. We might help them with equipment, like if the chair needs adjustments and maybe there's a lighting issue inside their suite. We would provide some support in that capacity. But generally, the day-to-day cleaning is really the responsibility of the salon professional. It's no different than if you're renting an office, right? You're responsible for keeping that your space under your lease or your license clean and maintained.
And so it's interesting because, from a franchisee perspective, when somebody comes in and as you said, many of them don't have any kind of experience with salons, which they really don't need to because their real job is to go get people to fill the spaces, right? I mean, they don't need to know how to cut hair. They don't need to know how to do anything.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, the reality is so even before you're opening, you're starting your marketing process to license your locations to professionals. And we have a 48-point marketing plan that, maps out everything that we've tried and or want to try from a marketing standpoint. And a lot of it's driven by social media. So, I would say the majority of the time and energy is spent around Facebook, Instagram, Google. We have marketing companies that we've vetted that we introduce to the franchisees, and then they can pick whoever they want to use. They don't even have to use the people on the list, or if they want to do it internally, it's their call. We just wanted to make sure that that resources were available for the franchisees to help them sort of get from point A to point B. But yeah, that's once you get open, then it's about maintaining the facility and making sure that the facility is leased. That's the primary objective.
Do you guys help with any?
You don't have to have salon experience to do those things.
Yeah. So question for you. I mean, oftentimes in franchising, you've been in franchising a long time. And so, my feeling, I've been in it for 17 years. And so my feeling is that there's a lot of important parts regarding the franchisor and franchisee relationship, but there's two really important components. The first being at the outset of the relationship, right? When you get going, making sure that you've got that clear value proposition, and it seems like you do, right? You provide the 48 points of marketing, you help them find the right spaces to right locations to lease out, you help get everything set up. One of the second key points is after they're going, right? Let's say they get going, they filled the space or largely filled the space. What's sort of the ongoing value that a Phenix provides to the franchisees Because that will come up, right? I mean, if franchisees are funny, like it's what have you done for me lately? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you get somebody going, and then you always, as a franchisor, have to worry about, okay, what are we doing to continue to add value to this relationship as they continue to grow? So is there some component of technology? Is there any kind of component that relates to maybe a scheduling software or anything like that in terms of once they're already going with the business?
Yes. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, let me first say that this is not a complicated business. So there's not a ton of opportunity to create value add because it is a semi-absentee model. It is a real estate real estate play. But, like anything, there are moving parts, and you want to keep your finger on the pulse and where you can contribute and make the life of the franchisee smoother, easier, because ultimately I want them to, feel good about their investment, but also continue to invest in new locations, right? So we have a mobile app called Gina's platform. It is, it's actually an agnostic app. You can use it. You don't have to actually be in a Phenix to use it. And we do that intentionally because we're trying to draw others into the Phenix family. And if you had it unique to just Phenix, then, people may not, they may not want to move their information over, because for fear if they ever left, then they got to move it out. But we want to make it very easy, user-friendly for the Salon Pro. And through that mobile app, it's free to the salon professionals. They can do their scheduling. They can do their bill pay processing with their clients. They have marketing programs available to them. We actually use it as a conduit to where they can buy disability insurance. They could buy, believe it or not, pet insurance, and a lot of them do. We have it. We're also offering a loan program through that. During COVID, we offered access to PPP loans, and that was extremely well received because it was essentially point and click for them. I mean, they had to go through the application process, but we opened up that door for them so they didn't have to go figure it out on their own. And then on the other side of it is, so that's the piece of the software that faces the salon professional, who is the client of our franchisees. We also have a franchisee-facing back office solution that is it's a CRM tool, so it helps them manage their lead flow. Lead flow meaning, salon professionals looking to rent suites or license suites at their locations. It is a cash management tool, allows them to collect rents either through ACH or credit card processing. And it tracks all the historical data. It has a digital component where you can sign your license agreement using an embedded digital document. So it just makes it easier to execute and easier to find if you're ever looking to revisit. It has a maintenance ticketing tool where the salon professionals, if they have a leaky faucet or an air conditioning issue, they can immediately communicate to their to the franchisee and or their site manager, so that they know that the issue's been communicated, right? And then lastly, it's a way to communicate to the salon professionals. I think conventionally or historically, people would text and send emails, and it just gets burdensome in terms of tracking. But now through this, you can actually you can track it all through the back office solution. So those are a couple of the key components. The other part I would add is we spend a lot of time. So the important thing at the end of the day is Gina Rivera. I mean, she's the face of the brand. She spent 40.
She's the founder, right? She's the founder.
She's the founder. She's still very actively involved in the business. She spends quite a bit of her time focused on the salon professional, who is ultimately the customer of the franchisees, right? So we stay connected. She helps us with the glue, the stickiness that not just attracts salon professionals to us, but also helps us with retainage. Through her programs, we have a international training team. She offers free training online. We used to do it in person, and I think we're kicking that back off again. COVID sidelined a lot of people, but ultimately we make training available, because when you're a salon professional and you might come from a conventional salon into a salon suite, you might be a little worried about being alone. And we put a particular amount of emphasis on making sure they feel like they're part of the family, and we make sure they understand that they have access to training and tools that they may or may not already have through their conventional salons where they're at. But that is a critical ingredient that differentiates Phenix from a lot of its competitors. the competitors have training programs. I'm sure they don't have a Gina. And that's the beauty, because Gina sits in the board.
Tell her story, because her story is really interesting.
Her story is a very exciting story. I mean, so when she was giving birth to her son, Phenix, she literally, I think she went into labor early, and she was in the hospital, and she gets a phone call, and it's from the salon owner where she was renting a chair. And he asked her, where you been? I haven't heard from you. I haven't seen you. Is everything okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. I've, just had my baby boy, and very excited about it. And, after about, 30 seconds, the salon owner says, oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Can you do me a favor? Can you have your dad or your husband run down your rent check? Because if I don't get your money by Friday, I'm going to have to rent your suite out. Well, she hung up the phone, took out a piece of paper, and started drawing the beginning of Phenix Salons. And her vision was, look, I don't want this to happen to my fellow professionals. I want to create an environment where they can control their own destiny, but we have to make it in such a way where they can afford it, and where they are artists. So they want to be able to decorate. They want to be able to design their suite the way they envision it. So what can we do to put minimum furniture in there and then get out of the way and really, respect the salon professional for who they are? That they're all, for the most part in the U.S., most of them are independent business people, but they're renting a chair or renting a booth in somebody else's business. And so what happens is, when you're in that environment, you don't have control over the music that's played, the temperature of the room, sometimes the product that's sold, the hours of operation, who gets walk-ins. All these things come into the mindset of a salon pro, and that's where Gina thrives, right? That was the birth of this. And then you may or may not know, she was on Undercover Boss. I
saw that episode way back when.
Yeah. And that was a big, that drove the brand, because people could really then understand what we were trying to accomplish. And I don't think, Gina invented the salon suite model. It's been around for a while. And, but for her, it was about giving back to the industry that really helped her. And she comes from a family that goes back to 1929 in the salon business. I think they have 29 professionals in the industry. So it's exciting to be part of that heritage. And really that's at the heart and soul of our brand. And the name Phenix is he's now 20 years old, her son, who is involved in the business, on the marketing side. So it's really exciting to see it kind of come full circle, and really, if you look at our competition, they just don't have that element that really helps create the stickiness and the glue that attracts and retains the stylist.
Do you guys look to multi-unit operators? And then second to that question, as we kind of finish up here, do you, this is different than, your typical kind of retail, or restaurant type location. How far do you guys try to space people out? Because as you alluded to earlier, with this kind of business is sort of interesting. I know, I'm bald myself, so I don't really go to a salon specialist, but I know, my wife or my mom, hell, they would drive 45 minutes to go to their to go to their person. So how do you guys space these out?
Cool thing. Yeah, that's what's really interesting about this. So, salon professionals can have 100, 150, 200 clients, and they're servicing them every 4 to 6 weeks. They make very good money for the most part. And then, the younger ones with social media can build a customer base fairly quickly today. In terms of who we target, we target multi-unit operators because people that know franchising are, they're already sort of on second base, right? They kind of get the model they made. And if they're in the restaurant business, they know real estate, they know construction, they know marketing. And those are three key pillars to the business, and what they're looking for is a playbook, and that's what we bring to the table, right? We give them we have the design elements already figured out, so you don't have to invent the wheel. We've made our mistakes in our first 100 locations, so that's why I tell people I'm not really intimidated by independence or even the competition, because we've all learned along the way, and we're not making that same mistake we made 10 years ago. That's the beauty of buying into a system with 350 locations. So do we look at multi-unit franchisees? Yes, we do have quite a few, but we're not, independents, one-offs. We tend to do a lot of business with the C-suite, the CFO, CEO, CMO, CIO, CTO, people that are, they've experienced some success outside of the industry, and they're looking for a retirement investment or something on the side. Given the fact that it's a semi-absentee model, it appeals to that class because they've got a day job and they don't necessarily want to walk away from that. So I wouldn't say we necessarily target that, but they find us, and that's exciting. I mean, it's interesting that, the fact that we draw from so many people outside the industry, but they see the model. The model's pretty straightforward. It's rent in, rent out. And, what we're doing is we're just continuing the liberation of the salon professional to really be the entrepreneur they were always hoping to be and in control of their destiny. And that's the best part about it. That's the exciting part about being in the job. It's not just another, widget or another business or another restaurant. Every time we open a location, we're creating 30 entrepreneurs. And that to me, at the end of the day, if you ask anybody, that's the most inspiring thing about who we are and what we do.
Now, Brian, you've been in the business a long time. You've been in franchising a long time on the franchisor side. What piece of advice would you give to, new and emerging brands, irrespective of the sector that they're in, to think about as they're growing their franchise systems?
Well, I think at the end of the day, a lot of franchise systems, and I've seen this happen, they open one location like, oh, I'm going to franchise, right? It's like sometimes the hardest growth is going from 1 to 2. Right? Because you're trying to prove that the business model that you have can travel. So, I would suggest, having a couple data points and a couple sites that prove that your location can work in different settings. Because, even in Phoenix, like I said earlier, we can go to the second floor, we can go first floor, we can go, we can be in the back of a center. If we didn't know and experiment with that, we might be fighting over that corner of Main and Main and paying very, very high real estate prices. But the fact that we were able to experiment with that on the front end, it really helped us with our story, right? And then that attracts more people because if you have that kind of variety in terms of looking at what your real estate options are, you now can, if you're pitching the franchise community, you can say, look, we have a diverse product. We have a product that can go in a lot of different areas, which means you have the ability to be competitive with the landlord and try to negotiate for better terms. So I always try to tell people, look, don't try to grow so fast that you don't have your systems in place. Have a handful of locations that are open. And then, when you're looking to franchise, there's plenty of groups that are out there that can help you sell franchises. So you don't have to staff up the whole, with a bunch of people to do that. You can work with the franchise broker community to help you grow your brand, but really making sure you take care of who you are. You get your operations manual in place. So that because that's what franchisees are coming to you for. They want the playbook. And if you don't have that figured out, and the questions, at least most of the questions asked and answered, you're going to struggle, and then you'll lose confidence with the franchise base, and then all that excitement will be for naught. So crawl, walk, run, the best advice, and that's what we're doing internationally. We're not going. We're getting interest from all over the world: Japan, Mexico, Spain. Germany, Italy, France. It's exciting. But we can't do all that in 1 year. So, we crawl, walk, run. We've got an infrastructure in place to support it. And then you can't do that and not continue to support your domestic base. So you got to look in, you're looking in your mirror, but you're looking forward as far as you can, but make sure you got the house in order before you grow too fast.
To learn more about the Phenix Salon Suites model, you can go to phenixsalonsuites.com. That's Phenix, Phenix, salonsuites.com. Thank you, Brian. This has been very, very interesting to learn more about the model, learn about the semi-absentee component to it. And obviously, you have a tremendous amount of experience that you bring in the franchise world. So thank you for coming on and sharing about Phenix Salon Suites. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Josh, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Franchise Euphoria. If you enjoyed it, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and review. It really helps to get this show out to more and more people. Also, if you have any questions, have ideas for guests or topics, please email me, josh@indyfranchiselaw.com. That's josh@indyfranchiselaw.com. And finally, please note that this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes and is not in any way, shape, or form meant to be any kind of legal advice. If you're seeking legal advice, please contact a lawyer. Have a great one. Happy franchising.